Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ video right here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift. NoDQ. If you want to check out my personal account, then just get rid of the NoDQ and go to Aaron Rift on YouTube. But anyways, got your questions today from twitter.com/AaronRift, so let's get started. First one today comes from 40KEI. First time asker maybe? I think the most interesting way for Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt feud to end is with a partnership. Let them and Nero form a trio, Jeff Hardy is referring to basically become Raw's version of the New Day. The Hardys' age is showing, so having a good worker like Bray with them could be beneficial. Your thoughts? Big Vito actually brought this up as an idea last week on Virtue's Rage, if you checked out that video. If you haven't, you should. Now, I like the idea. I did mention on NoDQ Live, by the way, cheap plug, 12 days of NoDQ Live. Subscribe to the channel and check out the latest videos. I mentioned that I would like to see Bray Wyatt eventually form an alliance with Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. You can start them off by feuding, but then have them form this crazy faction of all the insane people in WWE in one super group and have them dominate the company. I think it would be a great idea. Will WWE go through with it? That I'm not so sure about, but I would love to see it happen. I would love to see a bunch of crazy people doing crazy things in WWE. You could even bring up Sanity from NXT and have them join the fun. Or you could just stick to three guys and have that typical three-person faction in WWE, which would be Bray Wyatt and the Hardys, with Bray Wyatt being the leader. And that way he can really get the rub off of the whole woken Matt Hardy gimmick. Maybe it could be a resurgence in Bray Wyatt's career and a babyface turn for him, which is something I think he's needed for a long time. I've said this several times about how in 2016 he turned face and it felt like it was going to help Bray's career, but then he got hurt. So yeah, turning him face and aligning him with the Hardys, I like it. I think it's a very solid idea. But maybe WWE could also go in another direction of having them as heels with Sanity come up. Or maybe you could have Bray Wyatt and the Hardys feud with Sanity. There's a lot of different possibilities with this. So we'll see what WWE ends up doing. Got this one here from Cruz Bandicoot. Who would you say, or would you say that The Miz is the most deserving to win the Royal Rumble? That depends on your own personal opinion. I think, yes, The Miz is a great performer, and he's worked very hard to get to where he's at right now. No doubt about it. But a lot of guys in WWE work really hard and are very solid performers. So again, it just depends on who your personal favorite is. The Miz, does he deserve better in WWE? Probably, but The Miz is also a guy that is there to enhance other talents. He's not really a main event superstar, even though he is really good on the mic and he's a very good wrestler. He's very consistent, and he's actually, if anything, getting better as time goes on. So some could argue The Miz should get another opportunity to be a headliner in WWE. I don't really see his character as being a main event character. I see The Miz's character as being the trash-talking heel that squeaks by with victories and runs his mouth and you want to see somebody kick his butt. You know, he's not like the tough guy heel. He's not like the Triple H heel or the Yokozuna or one of those characters that's a dominant, out-of-control heel. He's not really that character. So I don't think he's the most deserving in a sense of his character being the right character to be in that role of main event star going into WrestleMania, but as a performer and as somebody who continues to improve, I would say, yeah, he does deserve it. But I don't know if it's the right move to do that, and I don't see it happening, actually. I don't think Miz is going to get that monster push like what he had in 2010 and 2011. I don't see it happening. Stranger things have happened, though. Jinder Mahal became WWE Champion in 2017, so I would not rule anything out, of course. Got this one here from Smrtaza. Are casual fans better than the hardcore fans? They at least enjoy everything. everything what they watch. They don't ruin their suspense by reading spoilers. By the way, voted for Braun Strowman, the F5, Corey Graves, and the Usos. He's talking about the year-end awards, and I agree with you with everything except for Corey Graves, but you guys can go ahead and check out that video for my thoughts. Keep in mind that most fans that are hardcore fans now started off as casual fans. Most people start watching wrestling, they don't know anything about it, just like any television show you're watching for the first time, you really don't know anything about it, and if you become really invested in it, over time, you become a hardcore fan. And yeah, when you get invested in something for a long period of time and it becomes a big part of your life, you do tend to become more critical because you really care about it and you want to see it at its best. Hardcore fans, I don't think a lot of them are being negative for the sake of being negative. They're negative because they know what wrestling is capable of being. They know the greatness that it can be. And when they don't see it reaching its full potential, it's frustrating. So yeah, the hardcore fans will put WWE and other promotions under a microscope more than a casual fan. A casual fan is not that invested, so they really don't care about what they're seeing that much. You know, they just tune in maybe once in a while, and it's just something they'll watch, they'll have on the TV. They're not that invested in it. A hardcore fan, they're very passionate. They care. They want to see WWE put out the best show possible. And when it's not the best show possible, people are critical and they call it out. So it is what it is. But I don't think that hardcore fans are worse. You need both. WWE definitely needs both. WWE needs to create new fans, and WWE needs those casual fans to subscribe to the network and fill the arenas and spend money. But at the same time, the hardcore fans, WWE needs them because those guys, even though they're smaller numbers, they spend more on the product. The hardcore fans are the ones that will go that extra limit. They'll buy the t-shirts, they'll buy DVDs, they'll spend money in other areas that a casual fan will not spend money. So you gotta try to make both sides happy. So it is a balancing act. WWE definitely has to try to cater to both the casual fans and the hardcore fans, but I wouldn't say one is better or worse than the other. This one comes from Michael J. Hey Aaron, if Ronda Rousey ends up signing with WWE as reported, how would you book her debut? Royal Rumble, Raw 25? Should she have an advocate? I did talk about this in one of the recent videos. I would like to see her on Raw 25. Raw 25 is a really big show. It's a monumental show, and I would shoot the big angle to set up WrestleMania at Raw 25. Maybe have Ronda in the crowd for a women's title match, and she ends up getting involved, you know, just like Lawrence Taylor at the Royal Rumble with Bam Bam Bigelow, something like that. You know, something similar to the Mae Young Classic where you have Ronda and her crew at ringside and that turns into a brawl. Do that on Raw 25 to set up WrestleMania. Just keep it simple. You don't need to make things overly complicated. But yeah, Raw 25 is where I would shoot the angle to set up whatever Ronda is doing at WrestleMania 34. That's what I would do at least. And should she have an advocate? I mean, would it be Paul Heyman? I'm not sure what Ronda is capable of as far as cutting WWE style promos. Obviously, she was a huge draw in UFC. Would that translate to WWE? You know, at WrestleMania 31, she really didn't say anything. It was The Rock doing all the talking. So, I'm not sure who would be her advocate, though, if she was going to have an advocate. Would it be, not Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman? I don't know. I don't know if WWE would get Paul Heyman involved in the storyline. They might not do it initially, but if she seems to struggle with the promos or whatever, then I could see WWE potentially giving her a mouthpiece. But we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, for her first match at least, I don't really think she needs it. Just her being Ronda Rousey should be enough to get fans interested, although there are some critics of her. There are some people that don't like her. There's that one woman who did the webcam modeling and actually more explicit stuff than that. She was pretty critical, and there's some fans that are critical that think Ronda Rousey's washed up and she won't matter in WWE, but I think she will. I think she will make a difference in a positive way. Got another one here from Cruz. Do you ever see Evolution being inducted into the Hall of Fame, making Ric Flair a 3-time Hall of Famer? Yes, I think there's a very good chance of that happening, actually. I could definitely see Evolution going in with Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton, and Ric Flair. Definitely think it's in the future. When, I don't know. Maybe a few more years, but you know, Randy Orton's still fairly young. Within the next 5 years, but then again, Ric Flair might not be around forever, and that's a morbid thing to say. He is getting older, so I'm not sure I would wait too long on it, but give it 4 or 5 years. I definitely see Evolution going into the Hall of Fame, just because the 4 guys, they were a huge faction in WWE, one of the biggest of the past 20 years for sure. And it would be another way to get Ric Flair into the Hall of Fame as a 3-timer. So I definitely think it will happen. This one comes from We Want Edge. Hey Aaron, which WWE botch made pro wrestling look the most fake? I wish you said all of wrestling and not WWE, because I have a ton of WCW ones. Just so many from like 1999, 2000. In WWE, probably the stunner to Linda McMahon. That just looked so bad. And the one with Donald Trump wasn't too good either. But I seem to remember the Linda one being the worst. Vince took a really bad stunner too. Actually, Vince took a really bad pedigree that looked really horrific. It was botched quite horribly. I think it was the wedding when Triple H and Stephanie were renewing their vows, and Triple H decided, well, he found the footage of Stephanie and called it off. And then Vince got the pedigree from Triple H. I seem to remember that one. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel and let me know. In your opinion, the worst botch in WWE that made wrestling look fake. Curious to know what you guys think. WCW, I mean, everything from that New Blood Rising gauntlet. I know you asked WWE, but I just wanted to bring up the WCW ones. Bret Hart winning the WCW title from Goldberg by pinning Roddy Piper the night after Starrcade 99. I mean, that one was just beyond awful. There were a lot of ones in WCW, a lot of thunder botches, a lot of stuff that just looked so over the top that it was laughable, just how bad it was. Got this one here from DJ Witty, or Whitey. Is it Whitey or Witty? I always am unsure. Ayo Aaron, please answer in video. Do you have a problem with WWE giving us constant reminders of what happened last week, last month, etc. before each segment? Our memories aren't that bad. It's getting overkill. I think we can all agree on that. And that's the problem of a 3-hour show. WWE has to fill time, and especially now in December when WWE has 6-7 weeks until the Royal Rumble, they got to fill time. You know, this is just killing time until the new year and when the Royal Rumble build really gets into high gear. So yeah, right now it seems like more than usual WWE is doing these recap segments and just you know, video packages. It's really being overdone. But again, they got 3 hours to kill and there's no pay-per-view coming up immediately, so you know, gotta kill time. That's really all I have to say about that question. You know, they're just trying to kill time. This one comes from Mr. Yuck. You called it years ago, Rusev faltering to comedy like Kozlov might hear English win gold in their tenure. Rusev is not quite there yet. I mean, Kozlov was just full-on comedy, although Rusev is seemingly going in that direction. The thing about Rusev, though, is I feel like him and Aiden English could be tag team champions. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think they're the hottest act in WWE right now. I would put the tag team titles on them. The Usos are great, but let's make a feud out of it. Turn Usos face. I mean, yeah, the Usos gained so much momentum by turning heel, but now the crowd loves them. So just let them be faces now, doing the current gimmick they're doing with the Uso penitentiary and all this stuff. You know, it's very entertaining. But Rusev and Aiden English, these guys, I find to be extremely entertaining right now. Every time they come out, I have a smile on my face. I love the dynamic that they have, the chemistry. So I would have them win the tag team titles and do Usos versus Rusev and in English for the next several months, maybe even lead to a match at WrestleMania. I would love it. I'm hoping that this Rusev Day thing will keep Rusev hot in WWE and he won't become that Kozlov-like character, because that's my fear right now. I'm glad they're in the title match at Clash of Champions, and I hope they win the titles. That's definitely what I would like to see. Don't know if it's going to happen, but my heart says go with Rusev and Aiden English for Tag Team Champions. Got this one here from Future Shocker. If you were booking WWE in 2018, what would you do differently? Maybe give certain superstars pushes, demote certain superstars, bring in certain superstars back, or longer storylines. I am going to say the same thing I say every year. At the end of the day, I just want the shows to be more compelling. I would make them faster paced, less filler, which means shorter matches. Save the longer matches for pay-per-views, even though we are in a different era now with the WWE Network, and pay-per-view matches, you don't need to make as big of a deal out of them as before because people are not paying $50 for it. But still, build the anticipation. Tease people. Don't give them everything for free. Make them tune into the network. You build up to the network. The network's the really big show that will have the replay value that people will watch years from now. Build to the pay-per-views, and you got to make the shows faster paced. They're way too slow, and don't do this pattern where you have 3 guys come out for a promo, it's 20 minutes, and then they have a lengthy match, which is another 20 minutes, and then they have a backstage segment, and before you know it, the first 50 minutes of Raw is built around 3 people. Don't do that. You know, if you're going to have somebody like Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns on Raw for multiple segments, spread them out. Have Strowman in the opening segment, and then maybe in the middle of the show, and then the end of the show. But don't do the thing where you have Strowman involved in a segment for the first 50 minutes of the show. That's one thing I would change. And definitely shorten the matches. And just more compelling stories. You know, actually have storylines instead of just having matches. And, you know, the only real storyline we have right now is Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan. The whole Jordan being Angle's son and trying to get opportunities is Jason Jordan. But, you know, Kurt Angle's trying not to play favorites. So that's a storyline. But I'd like to see more storylines with more of the characters on the roster and just make an overall more compelling show. This one comes from Jishnu. What is the concept and reasoning behind empty arena match? From my understanding, it goes back to Mid-South. I believe the first empty arena match was Jerry Lawler versus Terry Funk, and it was Funk's idea in the storyline to do the match. The idea being that Funk wanted to have this no-holds-barred, unsanctioned match with Lawler and no interference from anybody. So no referee, no fans, no police, anything goes, complete no-holds-barred. And Funk's character was crazy. So the idea is he came up with this match where they would just fight in the empty arena, and it would just be Lance Russell and the camera crew, and that's it. And anything would go. So that's the background information, to my knowledge, on the empty arena match. And we've seen a couple of them. It's not that common. We do see them every now and then. I think the most famous one, other than that one, would be The Rock and Mankind. And I think that was just done because Rock and Mankind already burned through so many different matches, and somebody must have seen a Mid-South match with Lawler and Terry Funk and was like, hey, let's do this. Let's bring it back for Halftime Heat. And that's what they did. And it was very entertaining. That Halftime Heat match, I think, is very underrated. The ending was really cheesy and hokey, but Rock was just in top form in that match. I mean, very, very entertaining stuff from The Rock. And Mankind, too, for that matter. This one comes from Benny. Now that 2017 is wrapping up, what were your personal top 5 matches this year from Raw, SmackDown, or NXT? Alright, well, off the top of my head, I mean, John Cena, AJ Styles, Royal Rumble was great. Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne was tremendous. War Games was another great one. the SummerSlam match, which actually did not make the Match of the Year poll. I know some people were unhappy about that. I actually forgot about that match, which is a shame because, you know, now that I remember it, it was a great match. It was really well done. So I like that one. And as far as a fifth match goes, I think I named 4. Maybe the Usos versus the New Day. I think that was actually my pick for Match of the Year. The Hell in a Cell match, you know, that was a great feud. Great match at Hell in a Cell. So there you go. My top 5 right there off the top of my head. Got this one here from Kyle Allen. Was the Papa Shango character underutilized in WWE? Interesting question. I liked the character. I thought it was unique at the time, and it did fit in with the cartoon era of WWE, the golden era, as some people put it. But at the same time, it led to one of the worst segments in WWE history, that segment where the Ultimate Warrior had the voodoo curse put on him, and he had the blood or whatever it was dripping from the top of his head. It was such a lame segment. You know, we talked earlier about botches that made wrestling look unbelievable and fake, but there were a lot of storylines and angles that made wrestling look fake, and that was one of them. You know, Ultimate Warrior getting this voodoo curse put on him was just really over the top and dumb. And Papa Shango missing his cue at WrestleMania did not do himself any favors. But yeah, I thought it was a cool character, and maybe it was an underrated character, and maybe they could have done more with that character. He could have had a lengthier feud with The Undertaker, maybe a pay-per-view match. They probably could have gotten more mileage out of that character than they did. And it's funny because Papa Shango was only around for about a year, but people still remember the character. So it was a memorable character. It's just, I think the combination of missing the cue at WrestleMania and the Warrior feud just left a bad taste in people's mouths. I really don't know why WWE dropped that character so quickly. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the NoDQ Live videos. 12 days of NoDQ Live. Yes, I am insane. I guess I'm going to be in the same insane asylum as Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy and all the rest of them. But anyways, it is what it is, and I will see you guys next time for more NoDQ video.